Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Let's get that sucker down there. Screensavers.com. Hey, look at who's there. I've got JB Cloud. Well, welcome.
Feel
Welcome.
like I'm at a NASCAR game or NASCAR race or fixing to land an airplane or something.
Yeah. Yeah, with all your gear that you got going on.
Yeah, got to do that. Us radio guys are deaf, man. I've been in radio 30 years and wearing headphones every day. The volume just gets higher and higher and higher, and that's just
I,
part of it.
I get it, brother. I totally get it. Man, how have you been?
Yeah, it's been a rough 2 years. I got that double pneumonia and hospital, COVID, was in the hospital 8 days, and then doctors overdosed me on steroids, and that's not good on your adrenal glands, it's on top of your kidneys. And then got a bad car wreck, my first one ever, and just had neck surgery. So my neck, I'm plumped up and swollen from all the steroids this past 5 months and 2 years.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us. Considering all things, man, God is good. That's for sure.
Amen. And he blessed me. I had a bad opportunity with a station I was at for 23 and a half years, and they cut me loose. And I disagree with their decision. But I thought I've always wanted to start a syndicated show, and I've talked about it for 20 something years. And I figured I'd rather do it and fail than not do it and wonder what if. So I started Red Dirt Proud, and it is come across as a big hit. It's the same thing I've done on Saturday night for 20 something years.
So that's the actual night that you do the live part of it. Is that correct? Or do you just record it on Saturday night and then it goes out?
No, I record it for stations around the country, around the state of Texas, around the country, and around the world. It's in 12 states: Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, obviously New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming. It's in Tennessee, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Illinois. They really like it, and it's over in France and the Netherlands.
Very nice, man. Yeah. And I was carrying it on the channel, but I owe you an apology, and let me explain. Towards the end of the year, when I got close to that awards show, man, I dropped pretty much the ball on all of anything I had.
It happens.
And I was like, and I felt terrible, but I was like, all right, I can't drop the music, obviously. That's coming in and stuff with Christmas right around the corner and the award show.
I get it.
And I'm an army of one, man. And a little bit more than the average person knows about me. So you know, got quite a few irons in the fire.
I know a lot about a lot of you guys, and I wish that this. If you're watching, thank you. And come to the Texas Music Awards, and come to Mark's deal, and go to the TCMAs, and meet these people and support these shows, because your support for what you did was fantastic, and I appreciate what you did. I saw that. I wish I could have been there. Obviously, I wasn't great enough help after surgery.
Man, there's always next year.
Amen. I want to be there and support you and make your show and everybody else's show a lot bigger. The next one coming up is going to be March 26th and 27th, the Texas Regional Radio Music Awards. And that one was really big last year. I don't know if you know, but the guy producing it is AJ Vallejo. And he has got his own band. He's with Love and Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
He's also with Brody Lane, the band Brody Lane. Both of them had singles.
Yep.
They were on the chart. And that really blew me away at Texas Live last year. That was really awesome.
He used to, or he might still have stuff to do with they used to be called Aimless Gun.
Probably still does. He does 4,100 things. He's ADHD. So
Cody Bryan band now. Are you familiar with them at all?
Yeah.
That's one of AJ's projects or friends. Because I did a little work for Aimless Gun and did some booking for them early on back, when I was still touring and doing all that. And I had a couple little side hustles and things going on. So,
I hear you. Man, we've all done everything. Yeah, we've all had 4,100 hats in the fire and busier 9 cats in a litter box. I know you have. You are up to your eyeballs and busy. And I appreciate what you're doing for the format. This is really awesome. You need to be honored for that.
I'm not worried about awards, honors, or accolades. I
Yeah.
mean, the only thing I worry about is, man, what am I doing while I'm here? What can I do to help younger artists or even artists just getting a start in the music business not make all the mistakes that I made in
Yeah,
my
I'm with you 100%. I've got a soft spot when it comes to these artists that have the talent, but don't have the money. They don't
it
know who to
boils down
call.
to
They
the
don't know
money.
who
I
to call,
hate to
talk
say it.
to, and
Yep.
everybody wants to steal their money. And you've seen all these one-hit wonders that they just gave up, or you know, Michael O'Neill out in East Texas. What a great artist! His song "52 Les Paul" still blows me away to this day. You had FCO down in Houston, but I heard they weren't very good live. You got the Derailers did their time and left. You had the Ben Atkins band, that was a different kind of deal. I'm not sure what was up with him. He didn't want to be. It's his birthday today, by the way. The guy that sings "Country
Happy
Girl
birthday.
Angel."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his birthday today. Um,
That's one thing I'm gonna give you a shout out real quick. I've listened to your show. Your format on your show, dude. That's a tight 4 hour show. I don't know how you keep it. That's a long time, man. That's a lot of work each week. I know
it really is, and I
people
sit down
don't
here at
get
the
it.
computer and
Even a
and
60-second video, it doesn't take 60 seconds to make, y'all. Don't be fooled.
I wish it takes hours. It's a 4 hour show, and it takes probably 5 hours plus to make it. Well, it takes way more than that because
Yeah, because of audio editing, video editing.
yeah, I'll
Yeah,
go ahead and I create folders because there's the show's broken up into 4 hours and there's 3 segments per hour that stations download, so they can play their local inventory in between. And then so I've got to make uh, a timed segments. The first two within certain range, and that last one, you got to take the 2 segments and add them together. And then you've got to add 9 minutes and 30 seconds because that covers the ID, the sweepers, and the allotted commercials. And then that gives you what's left, and you've got to make that last segment with that time allotted, and you got to make it work, whether it's me talking or picking the right length of songs. I go ahead and I've got 12 folders, one for each segment, and I get the music ready for it. And then when it comes showtime to make it, I just pull up a folder at a time and make that one segment. And then I when I'm done with it, talking or putting a sweeper or an intro, an outro, I'll save it down, 2 different file types, and then I'll close it and start a new one.
yeah, well, no,
Um,
man, yeah. Once you get your workflow down, it doesn't. But I remember when I first started doing the TIRC Top 20 Countdown, which I don't do anymore,
yeah,
because it was eating up 5 hours of just editing. That's not even getting the music. That's not putting the thought into it. That's not.
yeah,
Plus on top of having to do the chart and then doing radio promo
yeah.
and still doing some other stuff too. Social
Well,
media.
and I do the same thing. I watch the chart, I get the music ready, but if the chart, throws you a curveball and something's dropped, I'm going to take it out of the show and replace it with something else, probably a new song, which it's difficult because the show is a week behind the chart, which is nothing different than like Bob Kingsley or Crook and Chase back in the day.
Right.
I remember I pitched this to a syndication company in California. Excuse me, and they loved it. They loved the format. They loved the energy. They were a big fan of the music. Their only problem was they didn't want to carry it to syndicate it because I didn't have enough stations, big stations, and they said you go get some big stations, big
Yeah.
market stations. Yeah, because they're going to put commercials in there. That's how they get
Yeah.
paid. They sell these commercials to Tide and Ford and Chevy and Xerox and UPS and FedEx, and then they get paid, and then I get a cut.
Yeah.
They said you go get some bigger stations and then and talk to us, but in the meantime, we're going to follow along. And I've made it 1 year. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
And then this online store, check this out. Scroll down a little bit. That is something I found on one of our affiliates in Arkansas, Oklahoma area.
Who hosts
And
that store?
yeah, so I got to searching. I set my logo. Even the Redneck Rescue Squad is something I invented. That actually happened live on the air one night. A guy was stuck in a ditch and he didn't know where he was because he was half drunk. And so we figured out where he started from and where he was going to go. And I just got on the radio at night, Saturday night, and said, "Hey, we need to activate the Redneck Rescue Squad to come get this guy." And they found him, pulled him out of the ditch, and brought some emergency beer and just threw down and had one heck of a party right there on that dirt road.
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the show. I know we've mentioned a few things. If you go to the website, y'all listening out there, and also you can always check the description down below. I went ahead and put a link to your YouTube channel, and I want you to study that link when we get off of this, JB.
Yeah, study. There's going to be a test.
Well, no, I want you to look at the end. Go to your YouTube channel, look at your link, and this is for anybody. Here's a free nugget. And I normally charge.
The teaser, yeah.
Well, I normally charge for this, but at the end of your YouTube link, okay, at the very end of your YouTube link for your channel, and if you look at mine for my channel, there's something interesting there. So go look at what normally your link would be, and copy and paste that link. And I want to see. Give me a call or a text when you have time, and I want to see if you find out what the trick is.
I got you.
At the end, and for those listening in the audience, I'm going to give you a little hint. And this is something that cost me a $40 class to learn, to pick this up, and I'm going to give you it for free. Just because I love y'all and thank you for supporting the show. Go over and check out Red Dirt Proud. But look at those links, y'all. And when you do that, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the very end of it, because if you do that, what you're going to find out,
this end or this end?
The very end.
The one on the other side.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I haven't gotten all this down, man. This video stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I should. I did TV weather for 9 years. I should be good at this.
Yeah, man. I
think I'm not in a suit and I don't have my hair combed. That's kind of throwing me off.
That's what it is. And, they've made it way too easy with all the technology for us to sit in a robe and do this kind of stuff, really.
Yeah.
But if you look at the end of that link, and you know what, guys, let me just tell you what it is.
All right.
Question mark sub underscore confirmation equals 1. That's question mark sub SUB underscore, not hyphen, underscore, very important, confirmation equals 1.
I just wrote that in my baby book.
Yeah, and not spelled out equals, the equals symbol.
Oh shit! Yeah. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Eraser. Okay, yeah.
So question mark, the actual question mark, the character, sub SUB.
Now wait, do you spell out 1 or use the number?
No, you use the number.
Shit. Yeah. Okay, hold on 1 second.
You're clarifying that. And I should.
What's that number again?
A little screenshot of this, but I wasn't planning on giving this away.
Okay.
I felt moved. It's your influence over me. So question mark sub SUB underscore, the actual symbol.
Yeah.
And then spell out confirmation, the equal sign, and the number
the deal
1
for the blind.
There you go. Well, they got closed captions, so there's
you can do that.
But if you do that, let me tell you what that's going to do. You put it at the end of the link. It only works for YouTube, okay? But what it does is anybody that clicks that link when you're sharing it out on your different platforms, I would go and change all your links to that. It automatically subscribes them with the one click they make to your channel.
Oh, yeah. You sent that to me. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. Did you ever use it?
I did. Okay. Well, I didn't use it because I just wrote it down. I just learned about it.
Well, that was a trick question.
Oh, you like 10 cents for that, don't I?
Yeah, well, no, you don't know me anything, man. You've done enough to help my artist out, and you helped me back when I was doing my thing. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's what we are. Yeah, it's one thing I like about this. We're a big old family. Yeah, being nominated for these awards over the years, I remember artists going, it's just great to be nominated. And I'm thinking, that is crap. That's a lie. You want to win that thing. But, having won, a bunch of awards, nominated for even more awards, I can honestly say that's absolute God's honest truth. And every time they send out a mass email to all the nominees, and if I'm in it, I'll reply back like I did the other day. We made the final round for syndicated and specialty show of the year. They're not going to do a separate category. They went ahead and combined them. So instead of 5, there's 7. And normally there's 5 in each category this final round on the TRRMAs, which kicks off Friday. But anyway, I emailed everybody. I go, this is an honor just to be included with you guys. for people to take the time to write in, my name or our radio station or an artist or a video or a song or the Red Dirt Proud, that's something cool. Whether you win or not, you are, bam, you're up there in the best of the best.
Yeah, no, man.
And the guy who wins, or the man or woman or person nowadays or thing that wins is not the best. He's got the most votes.
Yeah, but
you got to look at it that way, and that's the way I do.
Okay,
every one of them deserves an award.
Well, they do. And when I started the Texas Internet Radio chart, it wasn't a knock on any of the other charts. It was just to do something different. Because what I noticed is it was more of a fan club. And I'm going to speak candidly and I'm going to speak honestly. And if someone sees this and it offended you, well, if the shoe fits, wear it. But, there's some of these artists that they have an unfair advantage when it comes to a vote competition. And I'm not going to name names, but some of them have very large church congregations that are centrally located in major metropolises.
Well, and there's also people in the past that have cheated. People wonder, and I've been asked, why do I have to sign up? Why do I have to register? Why do I have to pick a membership? Well, that's to hold down the cheaters.
It does. It helps with accountability, but anytime you're doing a vote, we all have seen, most recently, we have seen what can happen with the good old voting system, huh?
Well, in this year's vote, I was talking to Dave Smith, the head of the charts. It was kind of weird. I don't know if you've noticed that, but the nominees in round 2 that came out, you're like, what the heck?
Man, they're grasping for straws, bro.
Songs that just came out. People don't have a memory and are too lazy to search Google. There were radio stations and DJs in there that you're like, really? And even in the final round, I've noticed there's a few more. I haven't seen the artist list and the songs and albums, but on the radio and internet, the radio and station side, I'm really scratching my head. But it is what it is. If that's how they tabulated it, that's how they tabulated. I'm just curious how they got that many votes.
Well, some of these, you know what? You cannot discount a brand new artist that's coming onto the scene because they might have done their actual research. And this is something I coach and teach on their social media, and they've got a real fan base, and it's a loyal fan base.
That's a must, yeah.
And if
I'm not talking about the artists, I'm talking about the radio side, but the artists, good for them. I tell them, and then you've got some purists, you got your Jack Ingrams, and there's a couple of others, I won't mention their names, but they don't want to post that, go vote for me. No. Jack Ingram has said that, and many other artists said, if I win, I should be winning on the merits. And I think there should be an industry-based award. The CMAs, the ACMs, the Grammys, they're all similar. And this voting format is similar to the CMA awards, and I've voted in that many, many years. You have a nomination round, a round 2, and a round 3.
You're right.
I've nominated folks. I've voted a couple times, and but there's still ways that people can, I guess, tweak the system and get their ways. And I'm not mad because, heck, if I was down on the bottom, I'd want to climb up too.
Man, let me tell you, this game is so different from when I even started scratching the surface 20 years ago.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Longer than I have. Yeah, let's do that, because the whole point of bringing you on, we had discussed that we were going to talk about tonight the Texas music.
Oh, we getting there. We getting there.
Yep. Since the 90s, but I wanted to get a good introduction in and get people to know a little bit about you and get to see a more relaxed side of your personality than a traditional interview type
blah, 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 Red Dirt Proud.
Yeah, but if they get to know you, like, and I don't know you, but I've gotten to know you over the years a little bit more and more, and seen personal sides of you.
This is new, by the way. Yeah, when you're down for 5 months after a bad car wreck and you don't really give two craps, you just don't shave.
Well, I got a little similar thing.
I'd say you got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Hi, everybody. I'm JB Cloud. I've been blessed to have been in country radio for 30 years. It won a couple of awards, been nominated. It just most recently, obviously, Red Dirt Proud as a little over 1 year old, 13 months. So it's starting to walk. got nominated in the second round and made it to the third and final round for the Texas Regional Radio Music Awards. And one thing I'm blessed about is that I just got I guess the email in November that my name was put up for the Country Radio Hall of Fame in Nashville. Something that I've strived and wanted to be in since before I got into radio. So I was a kid. And they said that the class of 23 will be notified by the end of January. So cross your fingers on that. Look at this. Go to this page, trrma.net. Click on that video. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You don't have to click on it, but
when the voting's not open yet, right?
No, it opens on Friday the 6th. So in order to vote,
mark this website down, but there'll be links. Where can they get a hold of you personally? On Facebook or
well, you can search JB Cloud Texas. You'll see my Texas flag boots. Let's see, Red Dirt Proud on Facebook, Instagram, reddirtproud.com, and on YouTube. Texas Music Awards. Wow, what a fun time. And, I normally have to go in and work the room. And this past year, there were so many great artists and so many great people. The room worked me. I got stuck in one spot and just everybody just came up to me and I felt really good. I felt bad that there was a lot of people I didn't get to see because I didn't work the room, but I didn't have the opportunity. And but the production, the show, if you're a fan of this music, man, what a great way to come in and just hang out literally and have a cold one or just get a selfie and meet all your favorite artists and then watch the show.
That is the most important part of it is that it's a day with all three of the charts. It is a day that we can all get together as a community and take a day to get together and network and meet the people that we've only seen or talked to via email or on Facebook or whatnot. And that's a real deal, man. I mean, but there's a lot of times that, and I didn't get to go to anything this year, this 2022, man. I'm going to tell you straight up, me was
bit the boot, didn't it?
Effort, dude. It was awful. It was
horrible.
Terrible. I lost so much money this year, and it's not all about money. That's not what I got into this, but I got to be able to pay the bills. And I even had to sell a truck. I'd worked my ass off to pay this truck off, and I didn't want to have a car payment. And I wanted to just have this truck because of what had happened. I was like, I know what's going to go down. Yeah. So I paid the truck off, and I was like, now I don't have a car payment. Now I'm good. Nope, wrong. Guess
what?
I ended up selling the truck to keep the business going, so I didn't have to close the chart down and everything else. A lot of people don't know how much sacrifice I made this last year just to keep
made a ton
going.
Yep. You made a ton.
There were artists, I'm not allowed to mention names, and there were also people in the industry that really stepped up, JB, and donated money and helped so I could pull that award show out.
And that's awesome.
And it taught me a lesson. Stop trying to be big. You're not big. You're the small little fish on the pond.
Here's the deal, and I could have told you that, marketing rule 101, all these festivals. Look at Larry Joe Taylor. He started out with just a bunch of guys hanging out and their family and friends at the first Larry Joe Taylor Fest. And look at it now, 4,100 years later. They're going to end up one of these days wheeling him out in a walker or a wheelchair, and he's going to play. But rightly so. And he started small, and I've seen tons of people that wanted to do a festival that tried to start it big. You can't do that. You just can't do that. A festival, a store, a shop, an award show, it doesn't matter. And look at the history of these other award shows, and being simple. And
I stripped it down.
One thing next year.
We're going to be goofies. Yep. And it's going to be laid back, and it's going to be chill. And that was the thing that I've heard for it's only 2 years in. And that was the thing I heard. We did the first one at Rebecca Creek Distillery, and then we did this one at River Road Ice House. And man, the Rebecca Creek one was super cool, of course, because it's a distillery, and the distillery was cool and was giving away free alcohol.
Big fan.
Yeah. And everybody had a blast, right? Well, everybody had fun this year. It was a little bit less of a party, but it was a great networking deal, man. I mean,
for us radio guys, I remember going to Casey Donahue's 40th surprise birthday party, and his wife invited me up there, and there's a couple of us, I don't want to say bigger, but guys in radio that have been in a long time. And it was like a family reunion. And the award shows seemed the same way. And especially if you're going to come to the award show, it's on a Monday. Why Monday? All the artists are off on Monday.
Yep.
And so they don't want to miss out on a paying gig. I wouldn't either. And then the New Faces show, we need to get more people into that. That was a lot of fun because that was just mainly artists, a few fans, and the radio guys. So come to that. It's on Sunday, the 26th. Same place, just a different, around the side in one of those little sidebars. Texas Live is like a food court in a mall, like a 2 or 3 story food court. It is amazing.
So now, when is this again?
March 26th, a Sunday, is the New Faces show.
Okay.
And then on Monday, the 27th, is the actual award show.
Okay.
And it's inside. Now, have you been in Texas Live or seen pictures?
I have not been there, and I walk in. And
there's these restaurants, but then there's a big open area in the middle, and then they've got like a bar down there, and then a wall of TVs. I mean, from 3-story wall of TVs. Those TVs move out, the bar is covered, and that's the stage.
Oh, wow.
And so they had 2 other big TVs up on top. So go watch the video on that trrma.net page, and man, it'll blow you away. It was a lot of fun. I was thinking before we started this, and for the past couple of days, about what we're talking about, and the guys that, and it's more than just the 90s, the guys that really started this, the pioneers, even way before Bob Wills and Ernest Tubb and Hoyle Nix, Jody Nix's dad, playing that Western swing, Texas swing as we call it. And then you get guys that, and they're all passed away, not Jody, but and you got guys that come up like Waylon and Willie and Jerry Jeff and Gary P. Nunn. And a lot of people don't remember Michael Martin Murphy was a big influence in the Texas scene back in the 70s and the 80s. And even still today, the song "I'll Love It," West Texas Highway, that was written by Michael Martin Murphy, as Gary P. Nunn calls him, Mike Murphy. And, London Homesick Blues, being stuck, Gary P. Nunn wrote that in England, being stuck, waiting for a guy. Well, he was waiting on Michael Martin Murphy to come back. He was a big player. I love the history of this music. The recording of London Homesick Blues, where Gary goes, "Let me put myself back in that place." He wasn't trying to put himself back in England. He was trying to put himself back at the beginning of the song, because they were recording a Jerry Jeff Walker album at Luckenbach. And Jerry Jeff and the producer were in the studio, in the trailer, listening to it, playback, and Gary was entertaining the crowd, and he played that song, and it was stupid, huge response. And the producer ran out and said, "You got to do that again." And Gary goes, "Let me put myself back in that place." And at the beginning of the song, he goes, "You got to start from the beginning," and that's where it happened. Gary's getting old. If you get a chance to get his book, Gary P. Nunn's book, it's absolutely amazing. My camera keeps moving. It's a great read. He drops a ton of names I'm amazed at everybody he can remember. And the cool thing about Gary P. Nunn is, he grew up out in way far West Texas, and went up to Levelland and Tech, and then down to UT Austin for pharmacy school. And he quit.
Oh, wow.
And he did not quit because of the grades. He was actually the guy that ruined the grade curve. That's something they do big back then, is, if everybody, got crappy grades and one guy got a 72, they would all, bump up their grades. Well, he ruined the curve because he would make A's in all his classes. He just wanted to play music. So he quit pharmacy school and was going to get his education degree. His mom and dad were educators. And he finally said, "Man, the heck with it. I want to play music," and quit UT pharmacy school.
Well, we're talking about the evolution of the Texas music scene since the 90s. So why don't we do a quick rewind? I want you to take us back to you being in the radio business in the 90s. And I want you to go way beyond the music and talk about what was going on in the industry too at that time.
Okay, I got it. So I'll take you back to 93, I guess. I got into radio in 93. This is my 30th year. And I remember being in the studio. My camera turned again. Dang it. and seeing, we had these compilation CDs, and they were in a tray. We'd put them in, turn the dial to the whatever track number of the song we were going to play. Well, I worked overnight, so I would look at all these songs. And I grew up in Austin. I mean, how cool is that to grow up and see Stevie Ray Vaughan and Joe King Carrasco, Rotel and the Hot Tomatoes, and Johnny D and the Rocket 88s. And, seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan was just nothing back then. Jerry Jeff, Gary P, Geezus Laws. I saw all those guys. And I got to hold that camera so it doesn't move. I really liked that because it seemed more real, more relatable, and less commercial. Going through these compilation CDs, I came across some Jerry Jeff Walker. I came across some Gary P. Nunn, some Robert Earl Kane. The first time I heard The Road Goes On Forever was actually Joe Ely. First time I heard Corpus Christi Bay was not Ronnie McDowell. Johnny Rodriguez covered Corpus Christi Bay. And I would play that stuff, and we had a consultant. He would hotline me every night and fuss at me for playing that stuff. But I still played it. And I got in trouble, and I got fussed at every week of my life in radio for playing this music. And then, out comes, that's when your John Michael Montgomerys and your Rebas and your Lori Morgans were. Garth was huge, and the country scene was popping, and Texas music kind of took a backseat yet again until. I guess we're getting into 95, and Nashville finally said, well, hey, let's look at this. They signed The Great Divide. They signed Charlie Robinson. They signed Jack Ingram. And they came out with killer music. And then, that kind of changed a little bit of the independent artists, started doing a little more edgier stuff. And then as you move into the late 90s, you're getting more artists. Jody Nix, Western Swing Hall of Famers touring, and still is. One thing I miss, back in the days, the debonaires, they did the street dances. You don't do that anymore. In Nashville, an artist on their first single is making $80,000. I remember when Gretchen Wilson came out with Redneck Woman, $60,000. Look at Charlie Robinson. He is back singing music. Cost you $25,000 to get him to play acoustic. But the music evolved, and it was really commercial and really amazing. That The Great Divide and Jack and Charlie, I think Jack probably did more albums than any of them. And then boom, here comes Pat Green, and here comes Corey Morrow, and it turned the Texas on its ear, Oklahoma, and then at that same time, people don't realize that Cross Canadian Ragweed.
Oh man,
cars and
stories are cool stories.
Reckless Kelly were jamming. I mean, I remember seeing Reckless Kelly at Stubbs Barbecue in Austin. I saw Cheap Trick there too. Corey Morrow, Wade, Randy. You got Fowler, Krieger. Then you got Stoney, Bolin. That was probably the best time in Texas music because you think about all the songs were party songs. Everything that fits it when it's dark. Those songs were great. You had Maggie Brown out of Louisiana. Nobody knows who she is. You had Danny Lee. I was playing her, and I still play her. She was on Decca Records in Nashville, but she was like a cross between, she's like Kevin Fowler and Dwight Yoakam's sister.
Man, brother, the women in this industry do have it rough, dude. I
call bull crap. I call bull crap. 100% bull crap.
All right,
and I'll tell you why. 100% bull crap.
Young man.
Sonny Sweeney just got number one. She got there on her talent and her songs. Bree Bagwell got there because she's pretty. She can sing really good. She can write really great. But think about this. For all the years since the 90s, I've been saying this over and over again. I want more females on the radio. They're complaining that they don't fit. Well, for years, all these females, Charla Corn and all these other Rankin twins, I love them all, but they would come out with Faith Hill, Martina McBride kind of stuff, going toe-to-toe against 100% Texan Kevin Fowler and the Everclear song Roger Krieger. It was a train wreck. It didn't sound right. It sounded Nashville.
Yeah.
And there's artists today that they're just one of them right now that's getting produced by the bass player for Aerosmith.
Oh, wow.
And of course, the songs they've done are more pop-oriented, more contemporary, more mainstream, more Nashville. Now, when you get to the evolving part, they've started to evolve, You get more artists on the charts. You got Holly Tucker. She's staying true to her roots with that swing. You got Brie Bagwell. Her new album kind of took a total. It didn't take a left turn. It took a different flight.
Oh, look
Um,
at Brandy Balin, Billy Joe. I mean,
yeah,
those are up
but
and
I'm
coming.
starting to see, Brandy and Cynthia and Caitlin
Yep.
you look at, the girls just want to have fun. It was a novelty tune. I haven't played it since, but it was good for the music of the format. you know, but how music evolved, it went from, floating the river and traveling Texas and eating all sorts of burritos and, drinking and having fun and just throw down parties to all of a sudden, it took a dark turn to more alternative rock. You remember those days when, Whiskey Myers and, even Honey Brown kind of came out with a bunch of that. Cross Canadian was huge during that time. They had a more rock sound. And then everybody and their brother had a rock sound. You had, I, I don't remember all of them, but just because I didn't really like it. I'm a country guy.
Well,
And
I feel you, and I respect that, and it's not always a bad thing, because we all know if you've been in music long enough, it's all been done. Um,
it has.
it's how you spin it and what you do as an artist to make it.
Well, it hasn't all been done. It probably has. Somebody's haven't thought about it.
There's only
Um,
was there 8 notes in
Well,
music?
it probably has been done and just not released. There's a ton of artists, that a lot of people haven't heard of that, they just want to get up and play music. Nobody sent them to school to teach them about hiring radio promoters and publicists and website and merch and how to sell merch online, how to promote your business. They're in it to play music.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
what
the
they want
guys
to do.
that took
Mhm.
the leap, got the loan, got the backer, got some great songs, got a website, got somebody running social media for them, got somebody doing merch. Those are the guys that climbed to the top. And that's why I have a soft spot for the little guys like Ricky Fugit. I heard his stuff randomly out of Kansas, and it was horrible quality, but I loved it. And it's called Red Dirt Music. And it was a talk about name dropping all these people in their songs. And I play it to this day, and I support that guy. I love him to death. I even drove up to Kansas and gave him a custom belt and a buckle
Nice, man.
as a way of,
I love
I
it.
promised him he came down in my hood, I'm gonna go up to his, and we drank a lot of beer. Oh my
Well,
god,
that's never a bad thing, right?
yeah. I remember in Nashville, that's something else that's changed. It was so big back with the Texas music chart with Katie Key. They'd have a suite, or not a suite. They'd have a feature at a bar down on Broadway, Fiddle and Steel or Legends or something like that. Might have been Fiddle and Steel. And I remember Pat Corey, Coup de Grace, as another band. Jason Boland, Stoney, everybody was there. And they did that for years. And, and then the evolution again, you had the Live at Billy Bob series, which was highly successful for them on many artists. But a lot of artists didn't like it because, I don't know if you knew this, but they had zero control over the artwork and what songs were picked because they obviously did a concert and they did more songs than they could fit on the album. So I remember telling Jack Ingram, he was really, really upset about that because he didn't like the artwork and he didn't get to pick the songs or put them in the order. And none of his songs from the best album he ever did in Nashville, Hey You, made it on that album. And I asked him why. And he goes, no, there's some on there. I go, no, there's not. And we sat there and argued. And I threw the CD at him. I said, no, there's not. Look at it. He was so mad. And so that's why on that Live at Green Hall, so I used to have the full length copy. I don't know where it's at. I need to get it of Goodnight Moon. And I'll play it on my show one day because I end the show every night, every week with that song because it's kind of like Garth Brooks' The Dance to me.
Did you have an artist that, if I was hearing it correctly, did you have an artist that made you a little jingle for your show?
Yeah, it's a guy named Greg Young. He is a pharmacist and he's a great songwriter. The Cowboy He Will Be, Ariel Hutchins. Yeah, he co-wrote that. He's written a ton of hits, a ton, way more than I have. He's written songs just for me. I'm a big fan of songs about mama, and he wrote one for my mom that I'll never play. It's just for me. He did me a jingle at the other station I was at. He did a jingle for my show, and a big shout out to Terry Mashburn at Big Note Studio. um, and all the pickers that played on it. They did that for me as a gift, and Terry Mashburn has produced Ariel Hutchins, produced Mark Powell, Johnny Cooper. I mean, a whole host of Chris Crisp. I think there's like 4 or 5 guys on the chart right now that he's produced, and he's very affordable. He used to be have a touring band, and toured with Johnny Cooper's dad. And when the band kind of broke up, the 70s and 80s, that's what they did. They just toured around and played bars. And when they broke up, Johnny Cooper's dad went and got a job with the Graham Brothers and retired after managing bars with the Graham Brothers. And Terry Mashburn got in the studio, and he uses a guy that plays his name's escaping me, but plays with the Eagles. If you go to a concert, you see the Eagles, you see this guy on stage playing steel guitar or whatever. The guy can play oboe, harp. If he doesn't know how to play it, he learns. He uses Charlie Pride's old studio.
I get inundated daily with emails, messages, and I can't work with all of these folks. I mean, I wish I could, but I can't. And some of them aren't ready for somebody like me to work with them. They still got to figure some things.
Well, I hope you tell them. That.
I'm really honest with them. I'm like, okay, so here's where you're at, and here's where you need to get before you even look for somebody to start helping you. Because if you don't have the basics down, you're going to waste a lot of money that you don't need to spend.
Oh, yeah.
You should not be looking for a team or anything if you don't have a website and a social media presence. What are you doing? And you have nothing recorded, but
that part doesn't matter that much. To me, I'm about the music. I'm a purist.
Yeah.
And I'll play stuff that is okay, but for the most part, it better be more than okay when I play it. But if there's somebody that's got a great song, I'm sitting on one right now, or several. I can't play, I can't release, I can't do anything. And they're just killer songs, but they're wanting to wait for a release date. There's artists that don't have stuff. I don't care if it's a great song. Look at Josh Malloy. He had a great song. The production wasn't that great, but
the song was great. Yeah.
I love to see these new guys, especially Jesse Robb Jr. The guy's written 4,100 hits.
He got number 1 on our chart this week.
Yep, and I just added him.
Yep.
And then he's written for other people too. And I like he hadn't come out with anything in a long couple of years, but David Lee. David Lee Murphy. But David Lee, that dude wrote Nashville hits. He moved down to Central Texas, the Hill Country. He wrote a couple hits for Tony Johnson.
He helped me get my songwriters night at Goofy's going.
No way. What a great guy. What a great guy.
He's a super great guy. And his daughter's Dive Bar Superstar. Have you heard that one?
No.
You haven't heard? I'm going to send that to you. You probably would consider adding it on your show, I would think.
So I got a question. The people watching won't know unless she's watching, but Dorothea Ivy, you know her?
I know of Dorothea.
So this thing behind me, they redid their barn, and they made that for me. I think it's heavy. It's my trash can in the front, but it's made out of a barn, and they painted it and stamped stuff in there, and I think it's heavier than sin. And so big shout out to Dorothea for doing that.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a few things that are going to change this year. Number one, hopefully, if all the stars and moon, I'm going to figure it out regardless. I will see you in March.
Yeah.
If you're going to be there. And then hopefully you will be in my neck of the woods in May. If you can make the awards, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. Send me an email reminder. Facebook, I'll forget.
First, and it'll be here in Canyon Lake.
Whatever you need help from me, count me in. I'll shave my stuff a little bit better. I'll trim it up. And man, if you need me to MC, host, or just make popcorn, I'm in.
I think I've got my host already lined up. We had so much fun with Billy Joe and Jenny Del Lord this last time.
Oh wow, yeah.
They did a fantastic job. It was just, man, it's not scripted really or anything. I mean, there's like a guideline I give them to kind of, hey, this is going to happen then, this is going to happen here. You should probably say this right now. But I'm that kind of just like this podcast. I didn't send you a script. I didn't send you an outline. No, I like real natural as it
Oh, I
happens.
do too, and I have to. Anybody asks me to do that, I warn them. I go, look here, I don't script something. If it comes out, my censor button is broken. And I remember presenting or receiving awards a couple times, and I went to present with Casey Donahue one time, and it was pretty funny because the guy at the beginning told all the presenters we met before the show, and he said, "Don't touch the microphone." So nobody touched it, but they also didn't touch the mic stand. And you got people like Sonny Burgess, who's like 4'10" on his tiptoes. And finally he grabs the stand and kind of bends it over. And I was like, y'all are idiots. So I get up there with Casey Donahue, and I was like, guys, I never followed the prompter because it messes me up. And it threw Casey off. But I said, guys, we're in a room full of artists and musicians and radio professionals, and not a one of you all night have grabbed this pistol grip and moved this microphone down. And it got a good laugh. And I go, here, let me adjust it for Casey Donahue. And I just slammed it to the ground. It was funny because, you know, I'm 6'4¼ and he's not. He's more down to earth than me. And then I totally he was thrown off because I just totally ad-libbed the whole thing.
He's got a lower center of gravity, eh?
Yeah, his back pocket's closer to the ground than mine. He's short.
That's funny, man.
They should have teamed me up with like Kyle Park or something. Yeah, I got shoelaces taller than him.
Kyle, man, he's I got to see a couple of his music videos get filmed, or parts of them, at the distillery, and got to hang out with him and his manager a couple times. Man, I've had a really blessed journey, to be in all honesty with you, and the biggest blessing is being able to give back now. But speaking of giving back, knowing that the evolution of the Texas music scene from the 90s, and things changing so much.
Yeah, we're not done with that topic, by the way.
No, but real quick, what advice could you give to a brand new artist that's coming onto the Texas music scene? And I mean brand new.
I would say go back to the late 90s, early 2000s. And that brings me to what I just said about getting back to the evolution. You know, the music right now, sorry, I'm bouncing my leg. I'm ADHD. The music now is great music, but it's not what it was. You know, the biggest heyday of this Texas Red Dirt movement was in the late 90s, early 2000s. Am I not right? Everybody was going to concerts. Everybody was going to festivals. Everybody was buying CDs, buying merch. Bands made more stinking money than they ever had. Well, they're making more money now, which I think is stupid. You know, 200 grand, you know, 25 grand for an acoustic show. But anyway.
Well, you're talking, those are established artists. I'm talking about digging in, and you're talking about the evolution.
For new artists, go back. You know, when in anything, baseball, basketball, any sport, or even in your life or your job, go back to the basics. And me being a marketing guy, I look at things differently, and I'm going to go, okay, when was Texas Red Dirt music at its biggest, at its apex? You know, we've got, you can argue that it's today because we've got more artists than we ever had. We've got more airplay, more radio stations, but the most fun we had, and that was in 98 to I'd say 98 to 2004, and replicate that.
Yeah, man, we're overdue for a revolution.
We've got a bunch of Nashville formula songs on the radio right now. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I do wish that the Texas Red Dirt scene would get that mainstream music has: defined roles. So in mainstream music, we even have them categorized when we're scheduling. When we put in a song, you've got to say and classify if that's a megastar, a large artist, a medium artist, an up and coming or new unfamiliar artist. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's really 4 categories, you know, kind of like small, medium, large, and super or mega. You know, your Garth Brooks back in the day was the mega artist. George Strait's a mega artist. But then you get down to, you know, Dan and Shay. They're going to be kind of a midline. And then you get your, you know, Kelsey Ballerini. She's kind of new, fixing to jump up. Well, we have 40 million new artists. We've got a bunch in that next category. We really don't have any megastars anymore. Maybe Cody Johnson would be a megastar.
Yeah, and his story and the way he got what he got, man,
Oh
is
gosh, yeah.
man, that's a beautiful story, dude.
Well, I don't know your story, but the story about Nashville was wanting him for years.
That's what I'm talking. This is exactly you're hitting exactly where I
Yeah,
wanted you to
and
go.
he was in a bar in Nashville, and one of the record guys, said, "Man, what can we do to get you? I mean, I know you keep turning everybody down, but what would it take?" And he said, "Okay, I want this, and rattled off 13, 7, 5. I don't know how many. He wanted control over his merch. He wanted when he's on the road, he works. He makes phone calls. He does liners. He does visits. But when he's off the road, he's off the road. Leave me alone. You know, I want to get paid. I want to get this much. You can have your cut. I get it. Of my merch, of my tour, of my music. I want to pick my producer. I want to pick my songs. I want to pick my album cover. I mean, there's a lot of things. I want to be able to do covers on YouTube.
He basically told them everything he needed to tell them for them to tell him that there's no way they could sign him to the label, right?
No, the guy said you got it.
No, I know, but
for years they said no.
Yeah, a normal label. Yeah, would just. I mean, but we are talking about Kojo, and he had the backing and the numbers behind him at that point in time.
They did something. Yeah. They're doing a lot of things right now, like they did with Sonny Sweeney, and that's why Sonny Sweeney's back home. Mm-hmm. They came in there and they wanted to change her voice. They helped her voice a lot. I will give them that. She's still Sonny Sweeney, but she's a more refined Sonny Sweeney voice. She's still that hick East Texas voice. I love her. But they signed her into a deal, kind of like they did back in the doo-wop days in the doo-wop, the 50s. And it was called a 360 deal. They own everything. They own your merch. They own your touring. They own your music. They own your songs, your producers. You make money, it goes to them. Every penny, and then you get a monthly paycheck.
Yeah, there's a lot of those 360
twice a week paycheck.
Yeah, there's a lot of them going on right now.
They just want the Nashville deal. I want that Nashville record label. That's why they call it selling your soul, because you basically give up control.
Everybody's definition and level of success is different, and respectfully so. If that's what your dream is to be in that. I don't believe that some of the artists realize what they're signing. I think that maybe they're under the ether a little bit, and man, it's tough, dude. This is a tough business, and hindsight's 2020 big time in this business. And sometimes you shouldn't have done something that you did, and then sometimes you didn't know that you should have done something. And it's changing. It's ever changing. Like I heard you talking about. Well, yeah, in the 90s, people were buying CDs and going out and going to shows and all that. Think of the one thing in the 90s. We had it, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now, and it definitely didn't control our lives, and that was the
computer.
Internet. And social media.
100%. It really helped.
Media has really done a good job on doing exactly what they wanted it to do.
After the rock phase of Texas Red Dirt music, they came back out with more good stuff. And you had your William Clark Greens, your Casey Donahue's ruled the world. I called him like the Hannah Montana of Texas country. Now, here's something to think about. And I tell all the artists, and you should tell your artists too. One thing that made this scene revival huge back in the late 90s, early 2000s was the college crowd. Those artists catered to the college crowd, and the college crowd embraced it. Bought their tickets, went to the show, bought their merch and CDs. And that new crop that came out, guess what? They cater to the college crowd too, the Casey Donahues, the William Clark Greens. Look at Larry Joe Tenderfest. It's all about, Tarleton and the college life. And what these artists are forgetting that are out today is go to where it started. Go to get a college following, and that's where you're going to build your fan base. Now, where the big artists failed and messed up is – they catered to those college kids 20-something years ago. And those college kids that they cater to are still their fans, but they're 20-something years older.
Sure, they're in their 40s like
going back to the college. They didn't keep going back and playing those shows because they got too big for them. Well, they need to keep going back and grab some new fans. Those new fans aren't Kevin Fowler fans. They're they're Flatland Cavalry fans.
Well, not just that too. Now you got all this cross genre stuff going on, and you've got hip hop and rap that have really kind of even taken the place of you know, the 90s alternative rock and country that was so popular. Now it's the hip hop and rap that everybody's into. I'm just being
Oh
honest with you.
god.
I
I know
know.
Whiskey Myers, they come out, and I remember meeting them backstage at Outlaws and Legends. And that's another thing, we have festivals. We didn't have very many festivals. Now there's everywhere. And then every year we're getting out of state festivals. But I remember talking to Whiskey Myers, and they were on the Texas Country Cruise, and I said, "Man, it's awesome! You guys get to go on that cruise." And they go, "Oh, yeah, we're so excited! We're going to be with all our heroes." Or, I mean, beyond stoked. And then he started listing off all these rock bands, and I went, "Now wait a second! I was talking about the Texas Country Cruise." He goes, "Oh yeah, we got to go on that too."
Yeah,
And but he was stoked about the rock. So they do a rock album. They were pushed to rock radio, and I think they did a separate album, or just, and I've told even Johnny Cooper, I heard him play a Michael Jackson's tune on stage at Larry Joe Taylor. And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, that's my generation. We just listen to everything on his those iTunes things."
that dude's a pretty talented cat, man.
What a great talent! He's an amazing
And,
talent.
and he's one of those ones that blurs, in my opinion, he blurs the lines. He doesn't follow, you know, the
Johnny
cookie
does
cutter.
his thing, and he knew the consequences. If and I told him, I said, "Dude, do your thing, but throw radio a bone, something that we can play. You play your music, do your cuts, but guess what? We're not going to play it." He's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because Johnny, you're playing rock and pop, and we're a country station."
Hey, man, one of the hardest conversations I had was with my very first client that I started radio promoting for. That was my first actual paycheck as a radio promoter, and I still work with this artist. And I'm not going to mention names or anything, but the artist was going to the same studio over and over again and expecting a different result. And, you know, it was coming to me and kind of pointing the finger at me as the promoter, you know, and I said, wait a minute, dude. I have told you since your second release, we need to get a different sound. We need to do something different. You sound too much like your live show. That's not what radio is about. I know you're
I
trying
kind of like that though. I'm different. I'm different in that.
to, but I'm talking about to appease the mass majority
I
and
got
really and to boil it down because of all the corporate takeover in radio and television, right?
you. Yep.
You program these people differently. So they're
Yeah,
not
it's different.
think about it, man. Think about what they're wanting to hear.
Yeah, but I agree to an extent. Some of the live cuts though are better than the studio. Look at Feet Don't Touch the
Amen,
Ground.
brother. Hey, oh
Look
no,
at The
amen.
Road Goes On Forever. Look at Jason Boland. Some of his live stuff is much better.
I'm not knocking
Um,
live. I'm just saying,
and one guy that's amazing live but doesn't bring that energy in the studio is Davin James. I love Davin James, and I love seeing him live. And dude sings from his toenails, but put him in the studio and he doesn't, and it doesn't bring that energy. That again, like you said, could be the producer.
you if you haven't heard the song yet, it's an artist that won the SMG scholarship last year for radio
I
promotion.
saw some of those, and I need to look them up and send me
I'm
that stuff.
going to send you a couple different tunes. I'm going to send
Cool.
you Justin Biltonen from Three Doors Down. If you don't have his new song, I'm going to
I
send you.
heard about that. Yeah.
It's a really good song. He is a really cool guy too, man. I mean, this dude plays with a rock band that's still touring and successful. Three Doors Down has been.
I'm Kryptonite.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had more songs than that, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, they had some success, you know, and they're super cool in supporting what he's doing here in Texas, and that's why I got behind Justin. Um,
but
like I did because I was like this, and I met him, and he came and did my show in little old Canyon Lake, Texas, for a little old internet station. I'm not even a terrestrial radio station, you know, and he came and did that, and was you talk about humble pie, man. This dude should be the poster child for humble pie. He is like
that's
one of the
awesome.
coolest guys you'll ever meet, and
I
dude,
got
he's
to meet him. Hopefully, he'll be at the award show.
I'm going to talk to him and see if he's not on tour. I'm sure he's going to make a priority this year to be there.
I kind of wish they'd have a green room with just the artists and the radio people, so we can kind of hang out, kind of like they did at Johnny at that Arlington Music Hall.
I had
Give
it
us a little
set up.
opportunity to hang out
I
and then
had it
go.
set up. I had it set up at River Road Ice House. We had the
Oh man,
whole upstairs, and I mean, if you've ever been there, the whole upstairs there in New Braunfels, it's got its own bar, and it's huge and it overlooks
I've
everything.
been there. I've been there. I love that place.
I had it set up where artists and industry professionals could go in that area only,
Yeah.
and nobody. I mean, it wasn't a well attended award show as much as I expected it to be.
And was it
But
your first one, second one?
second one,
Second one.
which
That's
I
fine.
didn't have huge expectations, but what happened that really made it all better, because I always try to look for the positive, even if it doesn't look so positive. I'm looking, okay, what can I learn from this, and how can
Yeah,
I grow?
exactly.
But
I don't make it better.
well, and what I found was people had a really good time with the networking part because I opened it up and I said, "Hey, all y'all sitting up there, why don't y'all come on down here to VIP with us? We got plenty
Well,
of room."
here's another rule with events: if it's fun, they'll come. And like sounded like it was a blast. And those people that came to your show this year are going to come back next year. They're going to tell some friends. So I can't stress enough that if you're watching this, support these award shows, support these venues, support these. We got dance halls dying on the vine right now,
Oh
shutting
man,
down.
yeah, man.
And
The COVID, the whole pandemic thing sure didn't help that, man.
yeah, before that, that that rock phase of things came out with music you can't two-step to. Let's wrap up evolution. You ready?
Yes.
There's guys that are making bank, $100,000 money a show, $250,000 a show, $300,000 a show that don't get any airplay or very little. Look at Giovanni and the Hired Guns. Look at Cole Wetzel. Oh my gosh. Look at Cody Jinks. He's getting airplay, but the dude's making bank.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those things because you just brought up something that's a whole nother episode. So I definitely got to get you to come back so we can talk about it because you hit on something huge. The whole game has changed, and a lot of that,
It has.
unfortunately, and it's the dagger that's stabbing traditional radio is the streaming.
Well, yeah, true. And I see what they're doing. They're playing the stream game, and they don't get very much of it. They'll do an album, they'll release a single to radio, but then they'll turn around like Kinfo is going to release an album in February, but they got a brand new single coming out. I'm sitting here reporting to the chart. Should I keep them on the chart? It's a great song. Really like their song. Kind of reminds me of the Mavericks. Grain of Salt.
Yeah,
Or do I delete it?
it's a good song. Yeah.
And Bree Bagwell's doing the same thing. She's just got a brand new team, and I see what they're doing. But good gosh, it every time and they do it when they get to a certain spot in the chart. And but before streaming, before all the computer stuff, before this thing was really started, and I remember getting a call. I was one of the first 3 stations signed up and said yes for the Texas music chart. And I was one of the early believers in the Texas regional chart. But we didn't have direction. We didn't have singles. We listened to the album. We ripped off the good ones and we played them.
Yep.
That is all we did.
Well, and there is an art to traditional radio that has been lost a little bit. And what I mean by that, you still got your old school people that carry the standard and the morals and the values and the tradition of traditional radio with them in their job. But again, I got to go back to, and I'll tell you who really hit on this really good was Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad. I got to do a live stream. If you look up at the top right corner, you can see right there SMG live streaming service of the screen. Yeah. Right there. Yeah. And I got to actually do a live stream for his fan club.
Wow.
And what an honor it was, man, to get selected to do that. Number one, to get to know a little bit about him, to get to talk to him in a different facet and to actually be employed by him for that was amazing. But what he really hit on that it really opened my eyes was we're talking about an old school guy that's done it all. You know what I mean? Grand Funk was the shit back then, and here's the thing, man. This guy hit it dead square on. And he was like, the minute that corporations took over and the 7 and 7 rule disappeared, radio and television took a hit.
I say the computers helped us. It hurt us because you could do, we call it floppy disk or floppy jukebox automation. You didn't have to have a DJ in the middays if you didn't have. They
Well, it
realized we
wasn't
didn't have to have
talk
somebody
radio.
talking, or you could voice track, and then you had corporate who just ran with that and said, "Well, we can syndicate or we can jukebox." You know, they've got stations that um, one guy does the music logs and sends it out to 10 stations, 20 stations, 30 stations.
That's what he
Every
was
radio station has the same matching numbers and
it's the
songs. And,
yeah, it's the exact same programming on 40 stations they own.
you know, and I saw their point. Yeah, but I didn't. They hated satellite radio, wanted to push local radio. And, but then again, they turned around and said, well, we want you, if you travel the country, we want you to hear, a radio station that sounds just like the one back home. Well, that doesn't work, and I don't want to hear that. If I'm traveling the country, I want to hear different stuff. And different parts of the country, people talk differently, have different accents, wear different clothes, do different things, have different traditions, have different styles of music. They grew up differently. And, people in the city versus people in West Texas versus people in Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Arkansas. It just didn't, to me, fit. And they still want to do that, but I don't think it works.
Well, and again, I definitely want to go ahead and extend an invitation for you to come back. We'll schedule a
Oh,
Wednesday,
well, I'd love to.
and I want to continue the conversation because I don't think an hour is enough to cover
Oh,
it
no.
at all.
We
Number
could sit and
one,
do an hour just telling stories. I mean, we could
well,
do
and that's
5 hours just
man,
telling stories.
yeah, but
You know,
I'm trying to do something a little different here personally in my personal life, and it's not overwhelm myself. Originally, I wanted this to be a 3-hour show. And I got to thinking about it, and I go, Mark, that's an awful lot of editing on top of everything else you have to do. I go,
yeah,
number
we're
one,
gonna have to have a halftime or a potty break or something.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're done. I mean, for what we need to do for this episode, we're done, man. This is overtime right now.
Awesome.
We're 8 minutes over actually, but I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh
Number
man,
one,
you bet.
and thank you for being the godfather of Texas radio, as I like to call you.
You know who gave me that name? Clay Newman out of
Really,
Nashville gave me that name. I Yeah, I've
well,
been
you've done
blessed
a
to
lot in the
have been
scene,
at
my,
the beginning.
my friend.
I'm not the first. I'm not the best. I'm not the greatest. And I don't call myself that. But some other people do, and it's an honor if that's what they think. And if you don't think it, it's an honor thinking whatever you think. I don't care.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
what other people think of me is none of my business.
and I've supported this with all my heart since I was a little kid. I wanted to be on the radio since I was a little kid. I love being around music and the people that not just the artists, but the guys that play on the records, the guys that play in the shows, the bus drivers, the writers, the producers, other radio guys like yourself and promoters. And it's a family, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I'll end this on a funny note. The day that I decided to become a radio promoter, I was still touring, and I had my own music out to radio on top of it. Okay,
Yep.
boy, did I get the ass chewing from Miss Debbie Green, Mama dead
I can
poor.
hear it. I can hear it.
And then I got a call from Jen, Generate. But we need to talk about a couple things, and you need to understand that in this industry, you might want to stay in your lane. And I said, stay in my
Whatever. But
I said, stay in my lane. And I go, I'm in the music industry. This is music. But everything I'm doing has
yeah,
to do
there's no
with music.
there's,
So
there's
there's
no
no
there's
lane
no
there.
lane markers, and there's a karma train with no whistle.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, I knew what she was trying to say. And there was a lesson in there for me and what she was trying to warn me about. Because when you take on a lot and you don't have a team behind you, you can set yourself up for a very hard time.
I got the same phone calls when I started this show, Red Dirt Proud, and their thoughts was this is going to get too big, and I'm going to be able to report too many spins and control the charts.
Oh, yeah. They're all
And
so worried about that. You know what?
yeah, and I went, guys, I'm not. So I settled. I don't even report the amount of spins that I have stations that play the deal because they don't want to count internet stations. And I'm like, now wait a second. You got internet stations that are reporters to your deal. You got internet stations that won awards that are in categories you have awards for. You got to count those.
There's a whole reason I started Texas Internet Radio Chart, and there's a whole reason there's no terrestrial stations on it.
Well, put me on. I guess I don't count, but
Well, why
I'm
don't
just
you
a
count?
show provider. I
No,
don't air the
well,
show.
why don't you count? What I will do for you, number 1, I wanna get your show back on. It's a new year, and I've got time now.
I want you to do that too.
Yeah, well, I wanna help you with it, and here's another thing I'm gonna do is take it a step further. We're gonna put it in the newsletter every week
Oh, cool.
and, give you a little advertising spot for being on the show. It's my
Thank
gift
you.
to you and for
Thank
all the
you.
help that you've given the artists that I work with,
Well, if
and
you need any help, voice over stuff, I've been blessed. I got asked to do commercials and liners and stuff for folks all over
yeah, your
the
stuff your
world.
stuff's amazing, man. Your show sounds great. The production quality is
Thank you.
awesome. So
Thank you.
let's take it to the next level. And also, if you get back into doing some video stuff, I will include it on the TV network too on Sebby TV.
Awesome. Yeah, and check out the CB stuff, man. Dude, you're all over the map with stuff, and I'm jealous and envious, and
Don't
you know,
be.
I would
Don't
say that I wish I had more time. I've
care.
got plenty of time, but right now, after the 2 years of being down, but being able, I'm blessed that I can still do the show with the energy, which has gone up and down a little bit, but it's up again, and it'll stay up because I'm doing better. You can see this big scar on my neck.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they cut your neck right here, and then they open it up like this and open it up like this, and they move your throat over. Then they separate your vertebrae, clean that out, put disc in there, put a plate on it, and then move your throat back over.
Wow. Oof.
Hmm.
Man, I'm so my brother's a veterinarian. And
Yeah, that didn't do it, but I
well,
mean, you
no,
probably
but I'm
could
just
have.
saying the blood and guts of an animal does not bother me. But
No,
when it comes to a human or myself,
yeah, it
man,
didn't
I
bother
don't
me.
even like getting a shot, dude. I hate
Oh,
needles.
yeah, I'm a
Mm-mm.
pincushion.
Yeah, I'm like,
When you play,
ooh,
football, rodeo, old field, and drink beer, you're bound to overdose on gravity.
yeah, or yeah. That's a great way to put that, man. That would be a great line for a song right there.
You know who I talked to today?
Who's
You know who
that?
called me?
Who's that?
Drew Fish called me.
Did he? What's
Yeah, he
Drew
was
up to?
checking on me, and we're gonna write some songs together. I'm gonna write with Daryl Dodd. I'm gonna write. I've been writing with Tom Shepard. I've written with Matt Hillier from 1100 Springs. It was their first number one, and mine too. Co-wrote "This Ain't the First Time."
Nice.
Yeah, wrote with Willie Mack and Jamie Richards on a song Zach Edwards did, "Alcohol of Fame." And I love the songwriting aspect, and to get a song on the chart, it was a bucket list of mine, and to have it number one is even just gold.
That
And
was to be honest with you, JB, and this is full transparency. When I pushed Friday Night and Run to Me on the radio, and those were really the only two that I really honestly pushed before I became a promoter.
yeah,
It was a realization that I had that hey, I'm 40 years old now, and I don't know if I'm still the pie in the sky want to be that guy up on that stage anymore. I love what I do. I'm blessed to get to do what I do for a living and make a living doing what I love.
sounds
And
like a 40 years old now. Sounds like a line from the Blues Man.
well, I'm just saying, man, it really hit me,
Oh, I
man.
feel you. I feel you.
And
I
it's
I I
these
thought the
younger
same
guys
thing,
got
dude.
way more energy. And I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not telling anybody out there that age matters. It doesn't. There's so many other factors that matter.
When it comes to Shadow Stevens doing that countdown, that dude's like 90 years old. He needs to tap out.
Well, okay.
Um, but I thought that same thing. I didn't want to be that guy calling Friday Night Football when I'm 70 years old. I'm going to do this, or Robert O'Keen, I'm sure did the same thing, and Gary Pina, they'll play a few shows, but I still got it. I still have the energy. I'm not old, um, and I'm going to do it while I can because it's my life.
Amen, man. And that's another thing. I took the last year, I did not play other than a couple private parties. I didn't play.
Wow.
And I've got some rust to knock off, but I'm going to tell you, it never leaves. I tried to ignore it and it won't go away.
Yeah, it's in your
So
blood, dude. It's in your
yeah,
blood.
and so I've at least at the bare minimum, I've got to at least put some new music out, go to the studio, record something,
Let's do it.
and
All
even
right, one with you.
yeah, and I would love that actually. I've really gotten in, and David Lee was a huge. You spoke of David Lee earlier.
Yeah, I'd love to write with that guy. Let's get together and do that overdose on gravity.
Yeah, well, that would be cool. That would be really cool. And I bet he could lead and guide us just right down the path. He won't do it for us, but he will get us there, and then he will interject.
Or
And
we can do a patriotic song and give him a 21 can salute and have it sponsored by a beer company.
that we can do whatever we want. You know why? Because this is America. It's the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we are
America.
free. We are free to do what we choose.
And that's awesome. Mark, thanks for having me on your podcast, dude. It means the world.
Man, yeah, I would love to have you back. I've got plenty of opportunities, and I got more time than money. That's for damn sure. So we are definitely going to have you come back.
My wallet and my watch agree on that.
There we go. And I will get you lined up to start doing some advertising on the chart for you.
Oh, cool.
To help your show out. And people that are watching, thank you for tuning in.
Let's help each other.
If you didn't catch it, if you didn't catch it live, we do it Wednesday every Wednesday night live.
Scratch your back.
Yeah, thank you. And if you didn't catch it live and you're listening to this, make sure you check that description. Go down there. There's a link to my YouTube channel, which is Sebby Music Group, and the Sebby TV network. And that is everything Sebby right there. And then I also included the link. That's right. I included the link to the Red Dirt Proud YouTube channel and to the website in the description already. So you can go over there and hook up with JB and do us a favor. Share those pages. People don't realize how huge that is when you recommend a page to a friend. If you believe that your friend would really like this type of programming, recommend those pages to him.
Yeah, and you don't have to send money like PBS. I mean, it helps, but
I'll get my money somewhere else.
They're going to send you a book of crochet or any crap like that. We'll just send you thank you. High five on the back pocket.
Man, with all the birds I got, I can send you some feathers.
There you go.
I've got 37 exotics now.
We're gonna do a show on birds because we used to have one, and my mother-in-law turned her on to them. So we'll do one about birds. Man, I gotta get ready for this weekend show.
All right. Well, hey, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. And guess what? We are going to get out of here. Y'all say goodbye to JB. JB, thank you for being on the show once again. And I will tell you what. We're just gonna get on out of here.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Y'all keep it country.
Stay in show business. That is a wrap. I want to thank you all for tuning in to Way Beyond the Music podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show and you're an artist or an industry professional, or you've got something cool that you think you could teach the audience, shoot me an email over at mark@sebbymusicgroup.com. That's Mark, M-A-R-K, at Sebby, S-E-B-B-Y, music, M-U-S-I-C, group, GROUP.com. I'll review your ideas, take a look at who and what you are, and we'll see about getting you right here on the Way Beyond the Music. We'd love to have you. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and also go visit us and be a Patreon. Go over to our Patreon site, and you can also get some really cool merch that's going to be rolling out here in the next week or two over at our online store. Check out the description wherever you got this podcast from for all the links. And we will see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. for Way Beyond the Music. All right, Texas music lovers, we're going to catch you next time.